Welcome to another edition of the It's Cavalier podcast. It's your boy Mac. Tonight, our Cleveland Cavaliers took on the Chicago Bulls, a team that is honestly in a state of uncertainty after moving on from the Zach LaVine era, which actually lasted 7 years, believe it or not. The Bulls feature a solid mixture of both veteran and youthful talent alike, including Nikola Vucevic, who remains with the franchise after hopping in and out of trade rumors. Ditto for Lonzo Ball, who has reclaimed a starting role. And as of now, the future looks to be headlined by the trio of Ayata Sumo, Kobe White, and Josh Giddey. They also feature some decent role players in the likes of Kevin Huerter, Patrick Williams, THT, and a rookie wing, Matas Buzelis. Overall, they are likely headed for a full rebuild, though, after years of trying to stave it off in the name of mediocrity and relevance. And that's putting it kindly. All that said, a laundry list of players missed tonight's game. No Josh Giddey, no Vucevic, no Dunsumo, no Ball, no Patrick Williams, no Kevin Huerter. They were all ruled out prior to tip-off. Still, I continue to say this. I've said it all damn season long. This is the NBA where any team can beat you on any given night if you don't take them seriously. And the Cavs, for what it's worth, are an equal opportunity juggernaut, doling out punishment to contender and rebuilder alike. So I wasn't all that worried entering this game. Nevertheless, this was another opportunity to showcase this team's tremendous depth, and they did. And by virtue of that, we got a game to discuss. But before we actually dive in, do your boy a favor, smash that like button, subscribe to keep the Cavs coverage coming, and hit that notification bell so that you never miss out on a beat. Well, got the game. Ladies and gentlemen, the Cleveland Cavaliers entered tonight at 50-10, winners of their last 10 and on their third 10-plus game win streak of the season. They are just the seventh team, believe it or not, in NBA history to have three separate 10-game win streaks. The last team to do so was actually the 2017-18 Houston Rockets. It should be noted that only two of the previous six went on to win the title, and Cleveland is aiming to become the third to win it all in the same season. Tonight did represent an opportunity for the Cavs to move one step closer to that ultimate goal. Now, Donovan Mitchell, who was just named the Eastern Conference Player of the Month, returned after missing the previous one due to rest. In his place, however, would be Evan Mobley, who would take his turn. As a result, DeAndre Hunter would slide over to the 4, and Max Strus would shift back over to the 3 after starting the previous game at the 2. And look, guys, we also need to appreciate, frankly, what we are seeing from Donovan Mitchell right now. He averaged a team high 25.8 points, 4.2 rebounds, and 5.3 assists while leading Cleveland to an NBA best 10-1 record in February, and as a result, earned this accolade for the third time in his NBA career and the second time as a member of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Haven't really seen anybody do that type of thing since LeBron was in town. And speaking of LeBron, that dude actually took home Western Conference honors. Also, we got to kind of show some love to Evan Mobley, right? Evan Mobley would finish. Although Evan Mobley would not play tonight, he earned the Eastern Conference Defensive Player of the Month. And he is actually the first NBA player to receive this honor twice for the Eastern Conference. He also won it for games in December of 2024. Now, in February, Mobley helped the Cavs rank first in defensive rating at 108. He had first in lowest field goal percentage allowed at 42.9%. He's second in lowest three-point percentage allowed at 32.3%, and fourth in fewest points surrendered a game at 108.2 in the Eastern Conference. So we got to show him some love, although he did not play tonight. Alrighty, to the game. The game itself, which was frustrating at times, got to admit. It would get off to a pretty slow start, as per usual, apparently, with the Cavs putting up just 24 points on 29.6% from the field, including 16.7% from three-point range. And it fell right in line with what we have seen from this team over the past couple of games, as the team has averaged, believe it or not, just 25 points and shot 40.9% from the floor over their last two contests. No bueno, not necessarily good at all. multiple Cavaliers struggled to knock down shots tonight, whether that be DeAndre Hunter, who started 1 of 4, didn't really finish much better. Donovan Mitchell began the game 2 of 17, and while he would finish it on a completely different page, he struggled early on. So did Dean Wade, who would begin 2 of 6. And it wasn't like Chicago was doing anything to truly prevent these guys from scoring. They were actually getting some good looks at the rim and from beyond the arc. I can guarantee you that. And when the tracking stats are released for this game, probably tomorrow or so, the Cavs will probably have a lot of wide open looks that they ended up failing to convert on. But if you want to know who had it the worst tonight, at least to begin the game, that would be none other than Darius Garland, who began the contest 1 of 12. And it was bad. It was looking really, really bad at points. He entered tonight on a slump, and unfortunately, while he would knock down some timely shots down the stretch and to close out the first half, this is not going to be looked favorably upon in terms of his stat line, right? He is still slumping, very much so. Over his last 4 games, Garland is now averaging 15.3 points, 6.5 assists, and 3 rebounds while completing a very frustrating 30.1% from the floor, including an icy 32.3% from 3-point range. He is absolutely in a slump right now. That said, as I mentioned, he did end the first half strong, knocking down 3 straight to end the second quarter, scoring 8 of Cleveland's final 9 points. It just felt like DG was he was really pushing, right? And though he did have that hot close to the half, the efficiency would just come and go in this one. He had some timely baskets in that fourth quarter, but man, I just want to see our guy looking like DG the PG again. Hopefully that efficiency comes back. But outside of the starters, we really got to see some solid production from that of Ty Jerome, who would honestly carry at points in tonight's game. He would finish with 16 points. Wasn't necessarily efficient himself, just 3 of 10 from the field, 1 of 6 from 3-point distance. And he did manage to draw a ton of contact. He ended up taking 9 total free throws tonight. That was second to Donovan Mitchell's 14. Oh my God. Let me just get this out there. Cleveland actually drew a ton of contact. Donovan Mitchell actually got a ton of calls. And this is coming off one of the worst officiated games of the season against Portland, where I think they set some sort of record or came very close to it with the total number of fouls between both teams. But man, this team absolutely drew a ton of contact tonight, and you love to see it. And you know who was right there doing the very same and looking very, very efficient while doing so? Well, that would be none other than Jarrett Allen, the double-double machine. This motherfucker. He had a near double-double at the first half, right, with 10 points and 8 rebounds, and he was his highly efficient self. We'll talk a lot more about Jarrett here in a minute, but at the very least, while the offense was not chugging along to begin the game, the defense, they did okay, right? Especially in that first half. Sans Evan Mobley at that, limiting Chicago to 29 in the first quarter after surrendering an average of 32.5 points on 52.5% from the field against the likes of the Boston Celtics and Portland Trailblazers in their respective first quarters. Much of that coming from Boston, but still, it was good to see them get back to their stingy defensive ways. How was that done, might you ask? Well, in my opinion, it was done in a multitude of ways. Let's start off with a bit of background, though. First off, Chicago is a team that loves that 3-point shot. I'm sure you heard that a number of times during the broadcast, but it's the truth. They entered tonight averaging 43.1 3-point attempts per game, which is second to Boston's 48. They take that shot come rain or shine, no matter who is out there. And they're decently efficient with it as well, shooting in 11th best, 36.8% from 3-point range. And as crazy as that sounds, the number of attempts has actually risen in the 11-game span since Zach LaVine has been moved. And it's pretty crazy considering he was such a large portion of that, such a large part of that, attempting 7.3 per game. And these are Chicago's post LaVine numbers. Let me pull that. I don't know if I actually have that here. Here we go. They are 3-8 prior to tonight. without Zach LaVine. They came in with a 112.6 offensive rating, which ranks 19th. They had 119.1 defensive rating, which was 28th, so not good at all. That gives them a net rating of minus 6.5, which is 26th. And their leading scorer during that stretch, although he did not play tonight, was Josh Giddey, who was averaging 19.6 points per game. They are still attempting a high amount of triples at 42.6 per game, which is third during that stretch. But though they're doing that, they're not shooting it that efficiently, 35%, which is 16th in the NBA during that 11-game stretch since they have moved on from Zach LaVine. And like I said, it comes from everybody. And that was very, very frustrating at points tonight even. But even with that being the case, Cleveland, they would need to figure out a way to go out there and defend that three-point line. For those of you who do not remember, Chicago has shot very well prior to tonight against Cleveland this season. Like better than most teams, honestly. In the two previous matchups this year, they actually managed to complete over 42.5% of their triples on very high volume at that. 40 attempts per contest to be exact. That means that they have splashed home an average of 17 triples between those two games in a total of 34. And you combine that with the fact that they've shot 50.3% from the field overall, and maybe then you could understand my concerns coming into this one, at least in that regard. Now, it should be noted that even with that being the case, they remained winless after tonight against Cleveland. They are now 0-3. They will have one more matchup in May. But at the end of the day, outside of Cleveland's own offensive dominance, Chicago has also been very, very sloppy with the ball. They had turned it over 38 total times in the two prior contests. That is 19 per game. For those of you who suck at math like me, Cleveland had been plus 24 in those games, while Chicago was minus 24. But all of that into consideration, put all of that to aside, because you have to keep in mind one thing. Cleveland had allowed teams to shoot 36% from distance on the season entering today's contest, which was 19th in the NBA. It's still one of what I would consider one of the Cavs' primary weaknesses, or at least that's how I felt. But it should also be noted that since Cleveland has acquired DeAndre Hunter prior to tonight, they have actually held teams to a lowly 33.2% from distance. That is the 9th best mark in the league during that span. Hell, they are limiting teams to 43.4% from the field overall, which is tied with the Milwaukee Bucks for second, right behind the Los Angeles Lakers, who have held the ops to 42.1%. Go figure. Everybody thought their defense was going to be fucked after trading for Luka Doncic and, giving away Anthony Davis. Little did we know they would field quite the dominant defense since then. And Hunter has been key in the Cavs locking shit down on the perimeter. So I was really intrigued, suffice it to say, with how well Cleveland would defend the three-point line entering tonight. And with LaVine gone, the next logical option with all these guys out was Kobe White. He instantly becomes the top defensive target. You got to throw a body on him. And to be honest, none of the guys that Chicago can throw at you in terms of three-point shooters, none of their quote-unquote reliable spacers, and I'm going to give them their just due because they are capable of knocking down shots, but not many of them really truly scare me at, just being honest. These are their best shooters without Zach LaVine. You got Kevin Huerter, who did not suit up tonight. He is shooting 39.3% on the season on 7 attempts. That's high volume. Vucevic, who I mentioned, also did not play tonight. He is shooting 38.7% on 4.6 attempts. Giddey, go figure, another DNP at 37.3%. Kobe White, middle of the pack, right? Not somebody who is highly efficient, but somebody who can burn you if left open. He is shooting 36.7%. Patrick Williams at 35.1%, and Lonzo Ball at 34.4%. The only player of this bunch that played tonight was Kobe White. None of these other shooters were available. So they were left throwing names at us that, frankly, probably would not scare anybody. That being the case, you never truly want to take your foot off the pedal. You never want to underestimate your opponent. And we have seen that really play out against teams. If you don't really take your opponent seriously, they can whoop your ass. And frankly, the Cavs were at risk of allowing that to happen tonight with some of the unlikely sources generating offense. Zach Collins, who put up 8 points and 8 rebounds in the first half alone, that was really pissing me off. But you know who was really, really pissing me off? Taylor Horton Tucker. It felt like he made everything he attempted. And although I couldn't be too mad because they were making this guy work and earn all of it. Most of it was coming at the rim, but he did have some triples out there. It was still frustrating as hell to watch. He was driving his way inside with well-timed dribble drives. Got a lot of dribble penetrations tonight that often led to contested layups, which he made, or he would utilize the drive and kick, which I know he hit Kobe White on a number of feats tonight that led to a White triple or two. And to be honest, I'm going to make a joke, but it's the truth. Taylor Tucker just does not look like he should be good at basketball in that regard. He looks like your typical middle-aged hooper you'd see at a LA Fitness or at your YMCA league. He just does not look like the type of guy who would go out there and score a ton of points. And in tonight's game, it was frustrating to watch. Taylor Tucker would finish with 22 points, 6 assists, 4 rebounds. Very, very multifaceted player. So let me pay some respect to the NBA champion in THT. 9 of 18 from the field, pretty efficient, 50%. 3 of 6 from three-point distance. That is also 50%. But he was just pissing me off with the production that he brought because I don't think anybody truly expected him to bring that to the table. At least I did. Maybe I underestimated him. I mean, fuck if I know. But overall, Chicago would finish the first half leading 59-58, despite everything that happened, despite the poor start from Cleveland, despite Darius Garland starting the game, shooting a horrid efficiency. The Cavaliers were only down 1 point. Chicago shot just 42.9% from the field, including 30.8% from three-point range themselves. So it wasn't exactly like they were efficient. And with as poorly as Cleveland performed in that first half, you would think that Chicago would have been able to carve out a nice cushiony lead to fall back onto, but that really was not the case at all. The Cavs, despite another inefficient start, which is becoming all too familiar, in my opinion, were very much in this one and had every opportunity to walk out with win number 51. And now to one of my favorite parts of this matchup, and that is Kobe White versus Darius Garland. So I threw this graphic together and damn it, I'm gonna show it, right? This is Garland versus White prior to tonight. Now, Garland, when defending Kobe White, had held him to 7 of 26, which is good for 26.9% from the field, including 5 of 20 from three-point distance, and entered tonight with a 7-7 record, 500 record versus Kobe White. Now that gets bumped up to 8-7, so Cleveland and Garland now have the advantage during that span of time, but I'm just painting you a picture, a portrait. So just take it in. Conversely, Kobe White, when defending Darius Garland entering tonight, had limited him to 19 of 45. That is 42.2% from the field, including 7 of 17 from three-point range, which is good for 41.1%, and has now dropped to 7 and 8 versus his 2019 draft counterpart, rather. So, moral of the story here is that Darius Garland wins. Darius Garland is a very tough guy to defend, and that is me taking nothing away from Kobe White, because Kobe White was doing his very best to try and keep Chicago in this one tonight. But Darius Garland, even in an off night, can find ways to clear Kobe White, and I think that it speaks volumes about the amount of talent that this guy has. And any given day, like any given game, there are multiple storylines to hone in on. You guys might be wondering, why the fuck am I focusing on something as minute as this? But this is cool to me because today there are a lot of 2019 draft picks that suited up, right? You had the pair of top 10 picks in Darius Garland and Kobe White, but you also have Ty Jerome, you got DeAndre Hunter, and you have Taylor and Tucker. You got 5 players, 5 or 6 players from the 2019 draft in one game. How cool is that? That is awesome. But again, this is just focusing on Garland and White in specific. But I need to really go and look and check to see how often that has happened, where you have this many players from one particular draft all playing. Again, you got Hunter, you got Garland, you got White, you got Ty Jerome, and you got THT. That's just really cool to me. And mind you, this is some really good talent we're talking about, but DG obviously has been the best of the bunch. He's already made 2 All-Star games and has made the playoffs in every season dating back to the 2022-23 campaign, while White hasn't made it to the dance since 2021-22. That was a long time ago at this point. And things, when you talk about that 1v1 matchup, just continue to point towards Darius Garland having the one up on most of his 2019 draft counterparts. But man, another feather in the cap of Darius Garland, even though he's struggling. Our boy is struggling right now. Second half, DeAndre Hunter, despite having kind of a lackluster performance, one of the first ones that we have seen from him, although he picked up another W. Cleveland Cavaliers are 9-0 now with DeAndre Hunter playing. Since that acquisition, DeAndre Hunter has done nothing but win and win big, right? He opened that second half up with a mid-range pull-up jumper to the left-hand side. And then Jarrett Allen would continue with his efficient ways, knocking down an 8-foot floater off of a very nice Garland feed. And that connection, man, the connection between Darius Garland and Jarrett Allen that we have seen over the last couple of seasons develop was really, really huge in that second half. They connected on a number of quality shots in the third and fourth quarters. And DG, following that, would drill a absolutely gorgeous triple that did not even touch net. I mean, after struggling so badly in that first half, he needed some shots to fall. And he did close out that first half going 3 of 3. And it looked like he would eventually end up adding to that after knocking down 4 of his next 5 attempts after starting 1 of 12. He would still ultimately finish just 7 of 22, including 5 of 11 from 3-point distance. So if you need one silver lining in that, is that Darius Garland did finish shooting efficiently from 3-point land, but anything inside the arc, he just absolutely was terrible at, right? So if my math is correct, and again, I mean, take it with a grain of salt, I'm shitty at math, but if you take 22 shots, 11 of those, half were threes, that means that you only converted on 2 of 11, if I'm not mistaken, from inside the arc. That is just, man, that's bad. And I don't even think I did that math right. But at the end of the day, I'm just telling you, he was inefficient from inside the 3-point line. So at the very least, he knocked down the 3-point shots, and they did come at timely points of the game. And again, this is a guy who entered tonight shooting just 33.3% from the field, including an ice cool 26.9% from 3-point range over the previous 3 contests. And tonight's stat line is surely not going to help that. All of that said, this was very much a game of runs, as each team would take turns trying to build that lead, trying to take the lead. But it didn't feel like that, because there were less than 10 lead changes in this game. And let me tell you, Ty Jerome and company were not about to let this one slip away, as the 6th man of the year candidate would do his best to try and carry the load in a game where Darius Garland, both these guys were inefficient tonight when you're talking about the actual shots from the field. But at the very least, Ty Jerome was able to make an impact in regards to his facilitation, the rebounding, and of course, drawing a ton of contact at the rim. This guy, he just finds ways, even in off nights, he just finds ways to make an impact. And honestly, you've seen that from a number of Cavaliers this season, which is just so cool, because it speaks to the level of talent, the level of depth that the Cavs can showcase on any given night. Likewise, Kobe White did his best to try and keep this thing close. And although Cavs did make him work, he drew a ton of contact himself, resulting in a good number of free throw attempts. And he would end the game, if I am not mistaken, with 25 points on 9 of 23 from the field, including an inefficient 3 of 12 from the 3-point line. Again, like I said, these motherfuckers, they love that 3-point shot. They are going to get that shot up come rain or shine. But one thing we can say about the Cavs is that they made them work. They made THT and Modest Bazilis and Kobe White work for almost everything that they got tonight. But still, got to give props where props and credit where credit is due to White and company, because they tried to make this fight, and it felt like it was going to be a slugfest down the stretch. And he was key in keeping the Bulls to within 2, as the Cavs held just a 96-94 lead entering the fourth quarter. And like I said, it just felt like it was going to be a slugfest. And that is not exactly what you want against a Chicago Bulls team that is missing so many players. Like, damn, I know that Evan Mobley missed tonight, but Cavaliers had more than enough talent to make up for that. And I thought that this would have been one where Cleveland probably could have got some guys some early rest. And make no mistake, it's not like the starters played heavy minute totals. Donovan Mitchell only played 27 minutes and 46 seconds. Darius Garland only played 30 and 10. Jarrett Allen only played 30 and 10. And Max Strus at 24 minutes and 35 seconds. DeAndre Hunter, 23-40, and so on and so forth. Guys were not pressed into heavy workloads. But at the end of the day, I thought like, damn, like this should have been one where it could have been like a built-in rest day, as you have your starters not necessarily having to play even that many amount of minutes. But lo and behold, Chicago came to play. And this is exactly what I mean when I say you got to make sure you're taking your opponent seriously, because no matter who is on the other side, they can still kick your ass. So you got to make sure that you bring your A game. And what happened? Sam Merrill opened the fourth quarter with the triple, and to which Taylor and Tucker countered with one of his own. Then Donovan Mitchell hit a nice pull-up midi. THT turned it over, and from that point, it would turn into a battle of attrition, with both squads struggling to pull away until the final stretches of the game. You got Jalen Smith pulling an insane sell job, an Oscar-worthy sell job on Javonte Green, resulting in a foul call. And Green would shake that off and come down and knock down a triple and find a cutting Isaac Okoro at the rim for 2. Jalen Smith took a hard fall on a Donovan Mitchell shooting foul that was on Jalen Smith, by the way. It wasn't Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell drew the foul. Donovan Mitchell would also just flat out move Julian Phillips out of the way on his way to 2. You got Zach Collins then tying the game up at 107 apiece at the 7-minute mark in the fourth, which is, again, not what you want to see. And then Javonte Green happened, right? Playing his first extended minutes of his Cavs tenure. This man drilled a triple and then got to the rim for 2 on a very nice cut. I am so fucking happy that they went out and acquired additional wing depth, and I'm glad that that materialized in the form of Javonte Green, a very capable wing, a very capable high-level isolation defender, a guy who can go out there, rebound, and is a respectable enough shooter to warrant playoff minutes if Kenny Atkinson chooses to do so and to give him that. It just, this team is fucking stacked. I'm sorry for the language, but this team is stacked. Having Javonte Green available off your bench and not necessarily even having to press him into postseason rotational minutes, just knowing that you have that sitting on your bench, that's got to be a good feeling for Kenny Atkinson. The team is not perfect. They have flaws, really still need a backup 5. But at the end of the day, the Cavaliers can throw so many different looks at you. It is not even funny. So seeing this guy get his first real, like, true extended minutes, that felt really good. DG would follow that up by knocking down a triple, and then Jarrett Allen continued to make his presence felt. And this guy, I mean, this fucking guy, Jarrett Allen, just does not get enough love. There were, believe it or not, there were fans after that Boston game, and I get it. The quality of opponent here, much different. You got Boston all the way at the top, contender status. Many people still believe that Boston is the team to beat in the East. Just is what it is until Cleveland whoops some ass in the postseason. I will call a spade, be 100 on that. There were many people after that game that flat out were saying Jarrett Allen just does not belong here. And I know that sounds silly, but you know who you are. Jarrett Allen would have finished with 25 points, 17 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, was 10 of 11 from the field, and 5 of 5 from three-point distance. We are talking about a man that just does not get enough love. Give this dude some love. And then Darius Garland would hit another 3 for good measure, and that would essentially be all she wrote. There were some more buckets down the stretch, but that was really it. That was the dagger. And as a result, they would leave tonight's game with a record of 51-10, just 16 wins shy of breaking the franchise's all-team win-loss record, which currently stands at 66-16. That, my friends, came during the 2008-2009 season, a year in which LeBron won his first MVP trophy. It's really hard to believe that it was almost 16 years ago. And LeBron's still fucking playing, still winning Western Conference Player of the Month award. This guy's still putting up crazy stats. It's not LeBron, but not about LeBron, but holy shit, it just tells you how good that guy is and how much time has passed. But man, this is really, really, although it wasn't exactly the way that I wanted to play out, it was still a fun watch. It wasn't a perfect game. Again, Darius Garland would end up struggling throughout much of this game. He hit some big shots, but he was finished just 7 of 22, which is good for 31.8%. He is absolutely slumping right now. Donovan Mitchell, this dude has been an absolute beast against the likes of the Chicago Bulls. Prior to tonight, these were Donovan Mitchell's numbers against Chicago in 18 prior games. He was averaging 29.4 points, which is actually the third highest scoring average of against any opponent that he has seen. He has 5.8 rebounds, 5.8 assists, 1.1 steals, was shooting a highly efficient 47.5% from the field, including 39.9% from three-point distance. He was converting on 89.6% of his free throws and had a true shooting percentage of 62.8%. He was doing that in 35.7 minutes per game. Now, tonight, Spida would finish with 28, 7 and 5, and was 7 of 17 from the floor, which is 41.2%, and just 1 of 6 from the three-point line. But a number of his baskets were key in keeping the Cavs afloat and, pulling ahead. So I'll forgive him for that. And we are all going to remember the 70-plus point game that he had against these guys. That is the one that will always stick out, that is etched in history books, him being one of the only players to score 70-plus points in a game in regular season history. But Donovan is just absolutely cooked against this franchise, which is something that you always love to see. Elsewhere, I mean, you just look at the production that you're getting from some of the other reserves. Max Strus would finish with 11 points. Max is another guy who just often just does not get enough attention, not enough love. He would finish with 11 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, was 4 of 7 from the field, including a very efficient 3 of 6 from beyond the arc. And for me, I know after watching that Boston game, a lot of people are questioning whether or not Kenny Atkinson should have Max Strus in the starting lineup in a potential series against that team. And I'm like, we're still a long way away from there. We still have a number of regular season games to get through. And if they did meet Boston, it would most likely be in the Eastern Conference Finals, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm not worried about that. And I know that conventional wisdom says that DeAndre Hunter should be the starter against Boston, and I'm in agreement with that. But I consistently feel and see that people just do not value what Max Strus brings to the table, whether it be his volume shooting, the shooting on the move, the facilitation. He's actually been a very underrated rebounder since coming to Cleveland. And you can actually see him hustling out there most nights. He had 2 offensive rebounds tonight, one of which, if I'm not mistaken, led to a basket right at the rim. This is a guy that is always in motion, and I think that not enough people truly appreciate what he brings to the table and being one of those connective pieces, one of those connective tissues, and having that chemistry. And I think it just fits right in line with what Cleveland loves to do in that starting lineup, because he's not a guy that requires the ball to be in his hands to be impactful. He doesn't need a lot of touches, and you're never going to truly hear him complain about his role. And because frankly, he knows what he's there to do. He knows what his role is. So and he's professional. Coming from the Miami Heat organization, he's one of those guys that is all business. And I think you saw that all season last year, and you've seen that this season from him, although he missed a great portion of the season. But good to see him out there and playing better basketball and playing efficient basketball. And hopefully a lot more people can begin giving this guy his respect. Now, I know a lot of people are probably pretty down about the fact that DeAndre Hunter, fresh off that 32-point game, the Cleveland career high that he had against the Trailblazers, would finish tonight with just 6 points on 2 of 7 from the field. Did not knock down a triple tonight and went 0 of 2 in his 23 minutes and 40 seconds. But, it is what it is. He was due for one of these games. He was eventually going to have one, as he entered tonight's contest shooting 25 of 42 from three-point land. I mean, you are never going to be able to sustain that level of production from beyond the arc. This man is literally shooting better from three-point distance than he is inside the line, which is crazy to me. But at the end of the day, to be able to have him out there to turn to, whether you need a couple of stops on the defensive end against a big wing, or you need somebody who can create their own shot out on the wing, DeAndre is going to continue to show his value. And although he only finished with 6 tonight, I'm not truly mad, because he has been magnificent since coming over. And again, the most important stat, wins. This man is now 9-0 since joining the Cleveland Cavaliers. And like I mentioned before, since they acquired him, their perimeter defense has been absolutely, their defense in general has just been fucking crazy. I mean, again, they have, since DeAndre Hunter was acquired, prior to tonight, they had been holding teams to 33.2% from distance, which was 9th in the NBA, and 43.4% from the field overall, which is second to the Los Angeles Lakers. That, my friends, has a lot to do with DeAndre Hunter's presence on the floor, his ability to D up some of the big, tall wings out there, like the Jason Tatums, like the Jaylen Browns of the world, right? Like I'll throw Pascal Siakam and Anthony Edwards in the mix, although he's not necessarily what I would consider a wing, more of a guard, but you get the point. He is positionally versatile, he's defensively versatile, and he has made a huge impact on this Cleveland Cavaliers rotation since being acquired, and it's consistently generated W's. Some side notes, some factoids from tonight's game. Kenny Atkinson, after tonight's challenges, is now, if I'm not mistaken, 32 of 50 on coaches' challenges this season. Jarrett Allen would finish with his 34th double-double of the season tonight. Insane. To have 34 double-doubles already, season's not over yet. I mean, Jarrett Allen, again, another guy who just does not get enough respect. He got 34 triple-doubles and 61 appearances so far. He would also have his 33rd 15-point, 15-rebound game of his career, which I think is, they said on the broadcast, the third or fourth most since 1980, 1981, something like that. But this man, I'm just saying, he's been phenomenal. He's been efficient. He should have been an all-star this year, and he'll never quite get enough love. But I just want you guys to understand that Jarrett Allen is sacrificing a lot. He's in that spot. It's not like a Kevin Love or Chris Bosh situation where he's like the third answer or he's third option in the starting lineup. He's truly been bumped to like the fourth or fifth option most nights, and he doesn't complain about it. He just comes in and does his job, and he does it very, very well. He is like the all-star of role players, and I think it's fair to call him a role player. He's just a very high-level role player, because even role players can be all-stars, or other way around. All-stars can be role players. Jarrett Allen is like top of the line at what he does, and although he'll never get enough respect, I see what he does. I see what he brings to the table, and I know and understand that on many other teams, this dude could be putting up 20 and 15 nightly if given the touches. But considering that Jarrett is only attempting on the season 7.8 field goal attempts, which is his lowest total since he came to Cleveland, keep that in mind. Jarrett Allen is attempting 7.8 field goal attempts per game. He has never averaged fewer than 8.2 since coming to Cleveland, all the way back during the 2020-21 season. He's done what he can with his opportunities, and he is still averaging a double-double at 13.4 points per game and 10.2 rebounds per contest in just 28.5 minutes per game, which is also another Cleveland low. His previous low in Cleveland was the 30.3 minutes that he was, again, seeing in that 2020-21 season. He's been efficient as fuck, 70.7% from the field. If I'm not mistaken, that is second or third in the NBA right now. And my God, it's just his impact on winning is just profound. And I really, really hope that a lot of people are starting to realize that. And I know that there will be matchups that maybe don't necessarily favor him, as is the case for a number of players on the roster. But at the end of the day, he just brings a lot to the table. And it's been awesome to see him have such a good season, and it goes unnoticed most of the time. It goes unnoticed. Dr. Claw, perfect time, says JA finished with stats only Wilt has seen that many times. It's fucking crazy. Mr. King 562 says smoking on that Boston pack. Man, I need that Boston Cleveland matchup in the Eastern Conference Finals. Like, I need air. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see that. I cannot wait to have some of these narratives put to bed, because frankly, people are not going to shut the fuck up until Cleveland shuts people the fuck up. It's just not going to happen until that happens. And they're the defending champions. There's no other way that is going to happen. You have to earn your respect. And there's only so much respect that Cleveland can earn during the regular season. And I certainly understand that. So I cannot wait until Cleveland ends up playing this team, hopefully in the playoffs. Just so much fun that we saw tonight, though. I mean, Javonte Green getting his first real extended look for Kenny Atkinson would finish with 11 points off the Cleveland bench, a very efficient 4 or 5 from the field, including 2 of 3 from range, showing that range. Something that, he's been up and down with throughout the course of his career, but Javonte is a respectable enough shooter to be able to play in the playoffs. But his real impact comes on the defensive end. Prior to tonight, he in B-Ball Index's contextual data section, he has ranked in the 97th percentile in defensive positional versatility. Let me say that again. The 97th percentile. That is fucking crazy. That means that he is ranked 19th out of 545 qualifying players in that category. And he's coming off the Cleveland bench, and he's probably not going to be immediately included into the rotation. He's in the 87th percentile in matchup difficulty. When you look at his perimeter defense, the perimeter isolation defense to be exact, he is in the 88th percentile, is one of a number of Cavaliers to be a really good perimeter isolation defense, ranked highly in that. He is 64th out of 542 qualifying players. In terms of his ball screen navigation, he's in the 92nd percentile. In terms of the passing lane defense, this guy will go out there and swipe a lot of passes. He will pick off passes in the passing lane and create transition opportunities for himself and for others on his teams. 94th percentile. As a pickpocket, 76th percentile. In terms of the perimeter shooting, it's hit and miss. It's not the most efficient shot for him, but at the end of the day, the shot quality is up there. In terms of three-point shot quality, he is in the 97th percentile. His three-point percentage, which entering today was 35.1%, if I'm not mistaken, 60th percentile, which earns him a B+, or a B- grade per B-Ball Index. These are what make him truly valuable. And he is a quality rebounder, somebody who will hustle out there due to his high athleticism. He will sky for rebounds. And I am just so very, very excited that the Cavaliers were able to pick this dude up, because it's yet another player off this bench that can be an X factor if you need him to be in a series against a Knicks or against a Boston team who has wings out there. And you need guys like that to be able to get over the top. And Kobe, he's going for the gusto, man. He has fielded a championship caliber roster. The only significant hole, I don't even know if it's significant anymore, is backup 5, because as of right now, Dean Wade and DeAndre Hunter are essentially your backup 4, with Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley really just taking turns playing backup five in specific lineups. And I know a lot of people, I've seen this. I just want to call this out. DeAndre Hunter, since coming to Cleveland, has played 71% of his minutes at the 4. Let that sink in. It's not Dean Wade. It's mostly been DeAndre Hunter. 71% of his minutes have come at the power forward position. 28% have come at small forward. Now, Dean Wade, for large stretches of the season, had been operating as the team's third big, right? In terms of what George Niang offered and whatnot, you could factor him in there too. But Dean Wade has essentially been the Cavaliers' third big for large stretches of the season. And when you talk about his positional versatility, he has played 25% of his minutes at small forward, 64% of his minutes at power forward, and believe it or not, 10% of his minutes have come at center. That just speaks to the level of versatility that Dean Wade can offer you. And when you have these many positionally versatile options coming off your bench, I mean, if you're Kenny Atkinson, you can field some crazy lineups out there. We have already seen a crazy, potentially defensive lineup in the likes of Donovan Mitchell, Isaac Okoro, DeAndre Hunter, Dean Wade, and Evan Mobley. That lineup has a crazy amount of defensive potential in a series against a Boston Celtics. That is like that is a dream lineup in terms of defense out there for this Cleveland team. But yeah, I'm really excited about the options that we have. Jim Varney, haha, says definitely need to see more Javonte. And Jim, I think you will down the season. As the Cavaliers probably look to prioritize health a bit more. Who knows if they'll try and go for the team franchise record in wins, which again, 66 wins. At 51-19, they just need to go. They need to win 16 more to overcome that record, and they have 21 games to do it. And I think they will. I seriously think they will. We will see how it turns out, though. Trevian McKelton says, with the lineups we have like legitimately 4 teams in one. It does feel like that. A number of the players on the Cavaliers bench could probably be starters or starting on other teams. It's crazy. Richard Smith says, the Celtics analysts are perplexed because they have no answers for Spida. He consistently puts up big numbers against Boston. I mean, yeah, he's like Michael fucking Jordan out there against Boston. The problem is you need other Cavaliers to show up. Derek White, Drew Holiday, and a number of other players for Boston are not always going to be injured. So, you need Evan Mobley, who has consistently struggled against Boston throughout many of his games this season against them. And I know he had a big fourth quarter in that Boston game, but he has routinely struggled against Boston. Ditto for Darius Garland. And we know what the case is. Boston loves to hunt switches, and they're really successful at doing that. Let's face it. Cleveland has to scheme up ways to get around that. But at the end of the day, it's going to be on Darius. It's going to be on Evan. It's going to be on some of these other guys on the roster to really step up. They can't just be Donovan if you have hopes to win a series against the Boston Celtics. If you're going to win a 7-game series, you're going to need Darius to have his moments. You're going to need Evan to have his moments. And again, having DeAndre Hunter, having Dean Wade, having Javonte Green, having Isaac Okoro, that's all dandy. That's all fine and dandy. But you need some offensive production outside of purely just Spida. He's not going to be able to win that series all by himself. So hopefully we see that. And again, I'll say this one last time in regards to Max Strus starting. That was a proper context. That was a proper game, proper situation to start Max Strus in, believe it or not, because Kenny got a look. He got a look in a relatively meaningless game during the regular season. One last final look to see whether or not shit would actually work. Because believe it or not, that was the first opportunity that Cleveland had with Dean Wade available, with Isaac Okoro available, with DeAndre Hunter on the roster, with Max Strus available. And so why not take a look in a game that doesn't matter, doesn't mean that much in the grand scheme of things when you already have a lead. And so now with that data that you now have, if you're Kenny Atkinson, you can say, okay, this doesn't work. We can go to DeAndre Hunter as the full-time starter at the 3 in a series against Boston. But we shall see how that plays out. All I know is tonight was fun. Got a lot to look forward to as Cleveland has a game against the Miami Heat tomorrow. It's a back-to-back. Love that, I guess. Another opportunity to speak with you guys. Another opportunity for Darius Garland to bust out of his slump. Another opportunity for Donovan Mitchell and company to cook. But man, thanks as always for joining the post-game live stream. Sorry I was a little bit late, but duty calls, family, sick children. You guys know how it is. As I always tell you guys, if you like to reach out to me, you know how you can. It's Cavalier_pod on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and more. If you want to be added to the It's Cavalier Discord chat, you know what to do. Leave a rating, leave a review, send a screenshot of said review to It's Cavalier53@gmail.com, and I will send you said invite. If you're watching over on X, like I know a number of you are, do you play a favor? Head on over to YouTube. Doesn't take that long. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the It's Cavalier podcast if you're not yet subscribed. And hit that notification bell so you know when I'm going live. Go Cavs. See y'all tomorrow.